About a year ago, we released the Aussie Green Biz Mastery course, and I can honestly say it's one of the more meaningful things that I've ever done. We've had people buy the course, start their business, and within 12 months, they're already turning over $40,000 a month, employing people, doing amazing stuff. Others have been hesitating over $60 an hour jobs when they first started. 3-4 months later, they're averaging well over $120 an hour for the entire month, month after month. I've had multiple people reach out and say, hey, I've won my first commercial contract, or I've been able to quit my full-time job, and it's some of the most amazing stuff. I even had multiple people message me saying they've already got the value of the course within the first day. Multiple people have done that. So if you're the sort of person who's wanting to start your business, or who's new in business, maybe you're great at the tools, you're not great at the business side, and you want to take your lawn and garden business to the next level, this course is for you. There's a 7-day money-back guarantee. The last thing I don't want to do is to waste anybody's money. So if after 7 days you're not comfortable with it, you get your full money back. But anyways, if you're wanting to sign up, the link is in the description. Let's get into the podcast. All right, welcome to today's episode of the Australian Lawn and Garden Podcast. If you have ever been on the internet, and I have, and you have too, Menina, you're on the internet right now if you're listening to this, you would have seen people go very aggressive against others who have lawns or who have anything that doesn't sort of resemble their favourite thing. Judgment on all sides. And I've been asking the question on the podcast for a while, how bad are lawns actually for the environment? How bad are highly maintained areas, formal gardens, all sorts of stuff? And then I was on LinkedIn quite a while ago, and I saw these two chicks who work in business together, and what they do, they are biodiversity. I'm on the website here. Biodiversity and sustainability consultants for golf courses, schools, communities, and organisations. And I thought that sounds exactly like the type of people who can answer this sort of question. So, welcome to the podcast, Menina. We're going to try and explore how bad for the environment are grassed areas, are golf courses, or how good are they? Because it sounds like on surface level, at least, it's not what everyone thinks.
That is correct. Thank you for having me, Luke. My colleague Kate Torgerson and I formed a company called Torgerson Gilby, and we provide biodiversity and sustainability consulting to golf clubs. I'm a former biodiversity manager at Glenelg Golf Club, which most people are quite surprised about because they'd wonder what I'd even do there.
Biodiversity. Is that like
biodiversity?
We're getting the different types of grasses there. Like we've got to make sure there's some kikuyu, a little bit of cooch.
That's right, exactly.
Like how much more? Like if it's all grass, but
that's
no.
What
So
think. Yeah.
Okay. Tell me then. Like what can a biodiversity? How do you even start with this on an area that most people think is just grass?
Well, this is the thing, because golf courses aren't wall-to-wall turf, which is what people think. So you have out-of-play areas, you have areas that are in the rough. So for those of you who don't play golf, because I don't play golf, but you have the tee where people hit off, you have the fairway that they try to hit onto, and then you have the green at the end with the cup, and that's where your hole goes. On the either side of the fairway and around the tees and around the greens, that's an opportunity to plant native plants. You'll find a lot of golf courses have lots of trees in those areas, lots of trees. So golf courses contribute a lot to urban cooling in the environment, and we've got some slides there that we might be able to show later. There's some heat mapping that was done in Adelaide that shows that the golf courses are the cooler parts of Adelaide. So they're contributing to cooling the local area, and there are researchers that have been looking into this. So it's not just, I guess, the trees and the plants, but I guess the turf does actually contribute to cooling the area as well, because it's better than concrete.
And that's an understatement, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Because this is the thing that I've always...
turf, yeah.
Well, the thing I've always... I've said this on the podcast before. You can say, or anyone can say that, perhaps a fully sort of biodiverse wetland, that's as it came out of the box to say, for the last X number of thousands of years, would be, I guess, maybe the peak of biodiversity. Now, maybe it's not, because I don't know. Who knows? I don't know this area. We'll talk about this soon. But surely, comparing to the gold standard may not be realistic for a city area where people actually live. Because
That's
what
right.
usually happens, and I know this first-hand experience, we have two people who work for us who used to work at a golf course here in WA, and that golf course shut down. And it's now being turned into housing development. And so what used to be, when you look on your satellite picture on Google Maps, green, 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 is now multiple colours of grey, shades of grey from the colour-bond roof or the driveways or whatever. And the actual area of maybe life, like any life, anything living, grass or other, is probably reduced 80 or 90% because small blocks, small houses, small lawns. And I just can't imagine how that could be better for the environment. So while somebody might say, well, a natural wetland compared to, say, any artificial sort of, not artificial, but say man-made area may technically be better, I don't know. It's not in any competition with a shopping centre or a new development. So that's how I've always felt, and it sounds like that's sort of obvious, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think people really think about that if golf courses weren't there, they, like you say, would just be housing. And golf courses do contribute a lot to the urban environment. You look at Glenelg Golf, where I was working, they have 10 water courses there. So 10 bodies of water that provide habitat for fish and frogs and yabbies and you have lots of birds that fish in there for food. So people don't really think about that. They just think about golf as being bad. They just think about golf as being purely turf. And there are lots of opportunities in golf courses to create biodiverse areas.
I've got a question. I'm going to ask this straight off the bat, and I don't know if you have the answer. But my understanding is that when rain happens, when it rains, water that is going down, say, on a roof of a house, that's just going straight to stormwater.
Exactly.
And stormwater, or like on the road, going to stormwater, driveways going to stormwater. And that stormwater goes to, as far as I understand, eventually rivers, which means it's lost to the ocean eventually, right? But if water falls on grass or wetlands or whatever, something that's not concrete, it's actually going back into aquifers.
That's
so
right. Yeah.
Can we talk about this? Because I'm wondering, right, yes, you're putting water on the lawn to keep the lawn alive, especially, in WA. And are you still in South Australia?
South Australia, yes.
Yeah, so like you've forgotten what rain is by the sounds of it.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
We do that every summer.
Yes, yeah.
But remember that foreign concept called rain.
That's
when
right.
that
Water
happens,
coming from the sky. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So can we explain that to me? Help me understand this.
So yeah, that's a very good point, because I was thinking about this, that when you're talking before about housing estates and water is just falling straight onto the ground, it's not being captured at all. It's also not being cleaned, so it's going in its raw form out to the sea or out to rivers when it's picking up a lot of pollution on the road or a lot of rubbish, and that's all going straight to the rivers as well. So having somewhere like a golf course, like a big expanse of land with turf and other naturalised areas or planted areas, like you said, that water is going onto the soil, it's wetting the subsoil, and then it's going into the aquifer. At Glenelg Golf Club and a few clubs here in South Australia, they collect stormwater. So at Glenelg, they pump water from a local creek. Glenelg Golf Club is next to the airport. So we don't always think about this, but obviously the airport is on very flat land. So it's very flat in part of Glenelg's course. So it's equal, and it's not below sea level. So when the local creek starts to flood, and you think about this, it's not a creek anymore, it's a concrete drain. We don't have creeks as they used to be. So water rushes really fast. It can fill up really quickly, which means it will flood the local area, and the airport in Adelaide will get flooded. So as a flood mitigation measure many years ago, I think it was about 20 years ago, they set up an aquifer storage recovery system. So water is pumped from this creek onto Glenelg Golf Club's land. It goes into 3 cells where it is cleaned, and then it's injected into the aquifer. That's then brought up from the aquifer for irrigation. and any surplus water ends up going out into the street clean and out into the ocean. It also, as we were saying, it cleans the water too. So the water that's going out won't have as many pollutants in it because it's come through the cells and it's been cleaned through the cells. Yeah.
So I'm guessing sort of rain. So obviously, this is a really interesting thought. So
yeah.
One thing I was going to ask you about is obviously there's a lot of chemicals used on golf courses, whether that be fertilizers or herbicides or fungicides or whatever, right? But those chemicals, it's called chemicals, also exist on roads. You know, cleaning products or spills or oils from engines or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't really considered that though. That the spill that goes on the concrete doesn't stay on the concrete if there's a heavy rain event.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And
so would sand filter some of that as well?
Yes, sand will filter. So that's the thing. If you've got a backyard, and like golf courses get criticised for being to wall turf, which they're not, but people's housing these days is wall-to-wall, like you said, hard surfaces. Yeah. So that water is not taking time to soak through lawn, is not going through like a sandy substrate or anything. It's just rushing out very quickly. And this is what creates flooding events because the water is moving so fast. There's so many hard surfaces, water is moving so quickly, and it's not, the drains that we've built just aren't coping with all the water. Yeah. So like you said, if you had lawn, if people had lawn, like when I was young, everybody had a lawn. And now there's just not as much lawn.
Well, and thanks housing crisis.
Well, I never thought I was going to be that. Yeah. Well, I never thought I was going to be that when I was a young person, but I am now. When I was young, everyone had a lawn. And like you said, the big blocks, so blocks are getting smaller. But I don't understand why houses aren't being built in a way that's more conducive to collecting stormwater or slowing down water as it goes to the drain, like even green roofs or a small lawn, like just something or permeable pavers, just some way that the water can be slowed down and cleaned before it just flies straight out.
Right, small business owners, we've got to be honest. Like, we need to be honest in this conversation right now. A lot of you are really average or even terrible at admin, getting back to clients, replying quickly, getting through those people who are emailing you. And I can understand it. I've been there. You're on the tools. You're working in the rain. You're working in the hot days. You're struggling to get through everything. And then someone calls that email and you just hate the idea of replying to it. The way to solve that issue, there's a couple. But the first step to solving that issue is to have an admin system, a dedicated admin system. If you're running off Google Calendar and your email, you're going to miss opportunities. It's going to cost you money. It's going to take you a long time. I did a full podcast with my wife, who runs the admin side of Silverstone Gardening. She's 8 months pregnant in this podcast, right? And she's got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. She stays at home. She looks after them. They don't go to daycare. And if you're going, that is insane. She's running multiple staff. How does she do that? We did a podcast on that. And the big point is that we're using a software system called SortScape. We love it so much that we went to SortScape and we said, hey, can you do a deal, help the people out, and sponsor the podcast? And I said, yes, we'd love to. So we have an exclusive deal. You can get SortScape off SortScape with the first month for free. That's a discount that you get. And I highly recommend that you sign up to it now. It's winter. This is a time that you have an awesome opportunity to improve your business before the hot weather comes, before the craziness happens, before you run off your feet. Improve those systems so that you're way better at managing your business. Again, full podcast. Listen to that. I've got a link in the description. And a free first month for SortScape. Again, link is in the description. Can I just repeat this? Please, for your own sake, go do something about your admin this winter. Now,
moving around.
With this is opening up a whole can of worms. Right?
Okay.
So, I mean, how many directions do we take this?
I've got to go. This is what I'm here for. You did warn
me. The housing situation at the moment, like, because you say, I don't know why people don't. And like from a practical standpoint, yes. But there's always one answer, isn't it, which is money. And people are struggling enough as it is.
Yes.
And anything that makes a house more expensive. But I remember back when I was 12, my parents were building a house. And they were looking at getting water tanks. Yeah. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, in WA, we don't get a lot of rain. We never have. Why doesn't everybody get water tanks? Why doesn't the government make it mandatory? Because there's certain things the government will make mandatory where they go, the house must have certain this, certain that, certain that. And I'm 31 now, so what's that, almost 20 years. So if you think about if the government had made certain things mandatory back in the day, where would we be now? And
that's right.
now you think about it now and you go, well, we'll be in the same position when I'm 51.
Yeah, that's right.
If we don't do it now.
That's right.
Yeah, so, but permeable paving and green roofs, I'm sure you're not just talking about literal colour in green.
No, but I mean, you can put plants on your roof or create an area, or even, and it doesn't have to be your roof, even your shed. When you just think of, like you mentioned before, all those hard surfaces, even if some of them were turned into a green roof, pollinator plot or something, then that would just at least slow the water down. And as you were saying, like water tanks, everyone used to have a water tank when I was younger. That was a very common thing. I was part of the environment committee for my local council, and we were looking at the development plans, trying to make them more environmentally friendly. And there was a provision there about having, when you build a house, that you have to have a water tank. But when you look at the words, it says provisions for, which means a downpipe. It didn't actually mean an actual water tank. So it would be useful, I think, if people had that, particularly for just watering their gardens.
Yeah, same with solar power. Like, I mean, there's arguments for it, against it, and everything about on a mass scale.
Yeah.
But just putting it on a roof that's already a roof.
Yeah.
Like it just seems to, I don't know, it just seems common sense. I mean, the government does do rebates in Perth at least anyway. But like with all this as well, like if I just turn to the right here with my camera. Yeah. So that little green wall there.
Yeah. So that green wall.
I got there's at least a couple of plants in here, but the spider plant at the top, for people who don't know, the one at the top is called a spider plant. The Latin name, which I'm reading, I'm not going to even pretend that I know it, is Chlorophytum comosum. That sounds like a disease I don't want to get. But I was doing this reading that, you can buy these expensive air purifiers for the inside of your house. Yeah. Apparently they're some of the best air purifying plants out there. Apparently the spider plant's just punching well above its weight, and it's better. Like one single plant is better at purifying air than. Yeah. Anyway, and I just had them. This is like recent news to me. I've got them in the warehouse because they just grow well indoors, and I was like, oh my goodness! Now I'm going to plant 600 of them because I don't know why, but they're so cheap.
Pet friendly, and they're pet friendly too. Apparently, because some of those indoor plants can be toxic, but spider plants are pet friendly. So, win-win.
My dog's, the amount of things she's gotten of in here, I don't know. I did a podcast with people, when you listen to this, if you watch the podcast I did with Nathan Turner, a golf course superintendent, my dog's in the warehouse at the time. And I've been trying to teach her to, this is completely off subject, but I've been trying to teach her to wee in the bathroom at the back there, because at least there's tiles and I can wash it down the drain. She just wees anywhere in here at the moment. She hasn't worked it out. And she doesn't tell me, like, I need a wee, I need to go outside. She just goes and wees.
Oh, no.
She wees behind me in the middle of that podcast, and I just finished the podcast and there's just a puddle of wee behind me. And I'm like, I haven't seen it yet. I don't even want to look. But if someone goes looking, at some point there's a dog randomly weeing in the back. Anyways. So look, she's
to look that one up.
the toxicity of plants and stuff is the least of my worries. But the idea I'm getting at is we spend all this money doing things for the environment in a technical way, and I wonder if, like, literally just planting a couple of like high power punch above their weight plants is going to sort out some of these problems.
Yeah, well, someone was telling me the other day that lawns actually provide oxygen and can provide oxygen equal to a tree. So if you can't have trees, because, as you said, smaller yards, but if you can't have a tree, if you can't have big shrubs, then maybe just have a lawn.
Okay, so people come to you and your job is, this is what I'm guessing. Mm-hmm. A golf course comes to you and says, we would like to be a little bit more environmentally or biodiversity or sustainability conscious, right? What are we doing? And you go back to them and you say, this is a plan of action. and
That's right.
I'm on your website,
Yep.
and do you know, I might just put this on the screen.
Oh, thank you.
So when you're doing this, let me just get this up here. It seems to me that there's these sort of, well, you tell me, but there seems to be kind of options. I'll zoom out of this so I can see them. There you go.
Yeah.
Heron, wagtail, Canadia, Hardenbergia,
Yeah.
Grevillea, Melaleuca, Acacia, Eucalyptus. Are these different strategies or different targets people will have when they come to you?
Well, these started off as just different packages. So we tried to work out a way to name our packages after plants and animals. And so
Okay.
we kind of created like a lower story, a middle story, and an upper story, depending on what you wanted, what kind of package you wanted or how much you wanted to spend. So we can do anything from, people might just want help with a small planting project, or some clubs ask for a hole by hole plan. So what in that case we'll do like a comprehensive vegetation management plan, and then we'll help them with the management of clippings or management of different things on the course to help them flora and fauna, help map their flora and fauna, and provide areas of managed turf. That I know we're talking about lawn being so good, but there are areas in a golf course where you can remove managed turf and replace it with native plants. So that's some of the projects that we've been working on with the golf club. We've been working with Mount Coolum Golf Club on that. We've recently submitted a vegetation management plan for them in draft form.
But this is what I think I think that people who are very strong in their criticism of lawn lovers are a little short-sighted, because out of all the lawn lovers that I know, I don't know anybody who isn't also a plant lover.
That's right. Yeah.
And it's more that they might enjoy lawn because mowing's therapeutic, or they love sport and they like kicking the ball with their kids, or there's just a reason why that's their favorite. But I've never met somebody who is a lawn lover who's like, oh, I hate people who grow vegetables, or those people who have native gardens are dumb. But it seems to be that it comes the other way.
Yes.
But I can't imagine, other than the bad golfers like me who don't want to get caught in thick rough because we can't hit a ball straight, I can't imagine anyone being like, flowers at a golf course? This Hardenbergia with the beautiful purple flowers? No way.
Yeah. Well, like you said, there can be criticism sometimes when people do lose their bowls, and that does happen. But we try.
That's their issue. That's their lack of talent.
I've told that to people, but they say that's because you don't play golf, which is true. I don't play golf, so I can't really criticise.
Yes.
But, sometimes it happens. Bowls do end up in the rough, and people get frustrated. It slows down play if they can't find their plants. Find their bowl within the plants. So there are ways to plant so that it's not too thick, or that people can walk through and still find their bowl. So it's something that we're trying to help people with, because reducing managed turf reduces mowing costs, reduces chemical inputs, reduces all resource inputs. And my colleague Kate did a project with a golf club where they saved about $100,000 a year by removing some managed turf areas. So that's just less areas to mow. So it's incredible. But it also contributed to urban biodiversity by planting local plants.
We're doing this. I'm doing a small version of what you do in a very less scientific, very simple way, because we've just taken on a new private school that we look after.
Oh, yes.
And they have a water allocation. And doing the math on their water allocation, it is a challenge to keep the lawn green if we have another summer where there's no rain. Spring we're fine, autumn we're fine, summer it's like, oh my goodness. And part of it is because, as you would know, the pump can only deliver so much water. Right, yeah. Massive areas take a long time to water. It takes 16 hours to water this oval. Wow. So 2 nights of watering just to do the water over once. So you can only really water it twice, in a week, because you've got to use the other nights to water the other. Anyways, the most obvious thing for me is their oval is not an oval. It's a weird sort of trapezoid, rhomboid-ish shape thing. I'm like, just get rid of the edges. Literally make it an oval, and let's plant some trees in the edges. Yeah. Now, the cost is a lot of money, right? Like
Yeah.
but they can reduce 7, 8, maybe more 1,000 square meters from that, and no
Wow.
one will notice because the
Yeah,
kids aren't playing out there. I went
yeah.
there at that lunch once.
Oh,
No one's out in the corners, and
so yeah,
this is the point, right? Like I'm as lawn lover as they get, but I'm a plant lover too, and like everyone thinks that's a great idea, except for the fact that it costs money. But
yeah,
if
that's
money wasn't an object,
yeah, yeah,
like
exactly.
if we had
Yeah,
unlimited money,
yeah,
it's like why wouldn't you
yeah,
attract more birds and have
yeah,
flowers and actually
yeah,
have some shade? You know, that's a great thing
yeah,
on a hot day, isn't it? Like there's
yeah,
so I just don't find I'm ranting a little bit here, but I don't find the hate going both directions. For some reason, the lawn
yeah. It's
lovers
always
just get shot
yeah,
at from everybody
yeah,
else in the community.
yeah. Well, the other thing, and I know it's not always possible, but it happened at Royal Canberra recently, where they removed the turf on their fairways and replaced it with a more drought tolerant or less water using species. So that's mega bucks, and that's Royal Canberra, and they were able to shut because they've got a big course. They were able to shut down part of the course while they did that. But I was speaking to someone who sells turf, and he was telling me that if you choose the right variety, you could save up to 40 to 50% water.
Mm-hmm.
And being in Perth and being in Adelaide, like we really need to start thinking about that because it's getting drier. So we
So
need, like, if you're doing a home lawn, sorry, like if you're actually,
there you go.
doing a home lawn, then maybe think about what variety you're using and try and find ones. So this one, I don't know whether you've heard of Tiff Tuff. This is
Mm-hmm.
a breed called Tiff Tuff from the University of Georgia. University of Georgia have a campus called Tifton, and all of their turf varieties have a Tiff in them. So it's like Tiff Eagle, Tiff Tuff. Apparently, Tiff Tuff is a game changer.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the Kooyong Lawn Tennis Club, they used to every year have to replace the baseline um, because obviously the baseline gets a lot of wear. They replaced the baseline or replaced the court with Tiff Tuff, and they haven't had to replace it anymore. So if
Interesting.
you can get a turf variety that uses less water, that's more hard wearing, then you're saving money in the long run. And I'm not advertising Tiff Tuff, but you know,
No, but
shout
it's
out anyone who wants to
being
sponsor me.
smart.
But
I'll get Law
there are other
Solutions on the phone.
varieties.
Don't worry.
There are lots of different varieties you can use these days. That they're improving the varieties that you can get now for lawn. So if you are doing a new home lawn or replacing part of your home lawn, then it might be a good idea to look at a different variety.
I I've experienced that myself with certain areas on some of the schools that we've done. Not in a scientific way, but you can just tell that certain areas are slightly different, like cooch versus kaiku even. The areas that are cooch, typically speaking, in the hottest months are doing better than the kaiku areas.
Yeah.
Now, right now, the kaiku's kicking the cooch's butt. The kaiku is staying green. The cooch is not as vibrant or colourful.
Yeah.
And it depends on the climate. But anyway, it's not as simple as what people think. But yeah, back to this whole removing area. Like that's a cool idea. I'd prefer to golf at a place that had some birds and I was a little bit of singing going on from the birds and maybe some flowers and maybe even some nice smells from those flowers rather than just literally grass.
Well, there's so many people that say to me, like, golf courses are bad for the environment, like they don't contribute anything, blah, blah, blah. And when I first got the job at the golf club, I had a lot of people saying this is a career-ending move, like, you can't be an environment person and work at a golf club. But it's probably been the best thing I've ever done in my life, and it's just been incredible what I've learned and what I've been able to do. You look at Glenelg Golf Club, they have 96 bird species, 5 microbat species, 344 insect species, and these are confirmed by scientists and research that's been done at the club. We have 1 native fish. They're actually working on I'm working with them on introducing some more native fish. There's a native fish breeding program. We've got frogs, yabbies. It's incredible. And where else in the urban environment would all of these animals go? There's
If you
nowhere
had
else.
if you had that as a animal shelter, and you
Yes.
said we have this many species of this many
Yeah.
species of that in one animal shelter, they'd be like, oh, what a great animal shelter.
Yeah, that's right. Because it's a golf course, people are just like, what?
Yeah.
So Kate and I have set up a project on iNaturalist. Have you heard of it? iNaturalist has been getting a lot of press lately.
I've heard about it. What's it getting pressed for? Is this
Um,
controversy?
yeah, it is actually. I don't really want to raise it, but yeah, it's being mentioned a lot in the mushroom trial
Oh.
because it's one of the biggest. It's a citizen science online citizen science project, and apparently it's one of the biggest collections of recorded fungi in Australia. So people use it for research, but you can also record plants and animals.
For recreational research, I see.
Yeah. So Kate and I have set up Golf for Nature on iNaturalist, and we have 17 golf clubs involved. So you geofence the golf club, and any photo taken on that site becomes part of the project. And we have over 1,800 sightings of plants and animals. So it's pretty phenomenal that people would not believe it unless they saw it. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
It sounds like the microphone's doing something again on
Oh
your
no.
Has it
Gosh,
moved?
how annoying.
We're having
No, it
too much.
hasn't moved.
Has it? Oh, well, it's
No, still there.
something was making noise. Sorry.
Okay.
I don't know what it was, but but this is just going to be every 15 minutes. We'll have an intermission for the microphone.
You're gonna have to. I'm sorry, I don't know what's
I
going on.
don't think people are going to judge you very harshly.
Do I need to say it again, or you're all right?
No. It's there's certain people who are very I don't know if they're like
Oh, you've just done this and blah blah.
yeah, they're like I can't listen. I can't
okay.
listen because there was this click noise.
Something. Oh
Get
no,
over
that
it,
would be
mate.
me. That would be me. There's always something I'm doing. Very uncoordinated.
What I always
What
say
if
is you get what you pay for, and this podcast is free.
It's
So
free
lower your
podcast,
expectations,
so-
all right?
Yeah, that's right. I was
We're
like,
doing
what
the
if
best
I-
we can. Stop
Yeah,
judging,
that's
all right?
Yeah, stop giving me a hard time. So what if
I've put
in-
your while you're fixing that, you did a talk recently, and you've sent me the slides, and a lot of these are really quite interesting. And this one here is the one that you talked about before.
That's right. Yeah.
I will speak to it in a layman's terms, but it looks to me, this is a people. If you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, you'll be able to see this. But we have a satellite image of Adelaide. And the red areas are where all the murders and crimes are happening.
Yeah,
and
that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot going on, you know. And the pink areas are where all the bookshops are because the intelligence, and there's no pink there anymore. No, so sorry, all the people of South Australia. No, the yellow and red areas are the hot spots, right? And the blue areas are the cool spots. And I can see when I zoom in, that to me looks like a footy field. That looks like a footy field. I could just see all these circles, and it's like footy field, you know.
And doesn't it show you that in the urban area? So, you know, obviously the creeks are cool, and the golf courses and Morphettville race course as well, that are wall-to-wall turf or whatever people want to say, they're the cooler areas. So it just goes to show that. And this was heat mapping that was done during a heat wave in Adelaide.
Yes.
And it's really quite stark.
Now, is that the hills out there?
Yeah, so towards where you were pointing there, that's getting towards the foothills of Adelaide. But you can see there are areas that are bluer because they've probably got more trees and more parks, and then those areas obviously don't have as many. So it's really quite stark, and that's one of the images I often use in my presentations to prove that golf courses are cooling the urban environment. They're not all bad.
And then you think about, like, if you're living, say, in this red spot here, right? I'd want to be living right next to that guy, whatever that is. Whatever that is in the corner there. I hope that you can see that. I'm struggling to zoom in properly here, but
sorry, it's a little bit fuzzy, but that's probably another park, I think.
Yeah, but look, where do you want to live? That red spot there, or that blue spot there on a hot day?
Yeah, that's right.
Who's got the bigger aircon bill?
Well, and you can also see that the houses surrounding those cooler areas are more blue in colour. than those ones that don't have any reserves or parks or golf courses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
you know, and so you can see the runway there at Adelaide Airport, obviously because it's bitumen.
Yeah. It's
Quite
hot.
hot. But you know that creek that feeds south, that the little creek that feeds south of the airport, that's the one that Glenelg pumps from.
And that's Glenelg right there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. Look, it's.
So
I mean, this is hardcore science right here. I mean, we're just
yeah,
measuring temperature,
that's right. Exactly.
but then it's like, how do you argue against this? How do you? And I just don't. I don't understand. Again, like if we're talking and we're serious about the climate, and
Yeah.
we talk about with let's say all these chemical, or which is say man-made, say insulation or things like that to cool
Yeah.
your house, so you don't usually use aircon. Well, what if we
Yeah.
had, I don't know, 50% more trees, or
Exactly.
all the unnecessary concreted areas were
Yeah.
turfed, right? Or we had lots of spider plants. Maybe they're the hero today. Who knows? We think about, we're talking about turf and everyone just spider plants everywhere.
I feel like a spider plant green wall business is coming up soon.
Oh, mate, that's sick.
Sure.
They're going to be popping up after this episode. But no, you get the idea. Like there's
Yeah.
then how much, so let's say we, instead of doing all the building practices that help with insulation, you know, if you could control, like we could in a software program, two different options, and we go, let's just go this one as it is,
Yeah.
all the insulation in the world, but
Yeah.
no changes to the environment, and then no insulation but changes to the environment,
Yeah.
just for the hot days, what would actually be better? What would actually cause less air conditioning use? Would it be? Yeah.
And that's the thing, because the more air conditioning use is actually heating the place up more as well. So it's getting harder to go outdoors. But it's also about, you know, the way that things are designed these days. And, you know, maybe it is cheaper to go for something that isn't designed environmentally sustainably, but it is getting to a point where we kind of need to, where there are people who are living further and further out in areas that don't have trees and don't have reserves, or they're not surrounded by a cool green space, that are just going to be living in hot boxes. And yeah, we need lawn or reserves or areas to cool the places down as the temperature increases.
So these naturalised roughs here, this is what you're
Yeah.
talking about at
That is
Glenelg,
correct,
removing. So then you need less mowing time to maintain these areas.
That's right.
And you planted them out with this,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
And what's that, Connor Stylus, I think, and I don't know what that blue one is.
Yeah, so these are some local plants. The blue one is called Wallenbergia, or native bluebells, and the yellow in the front of the picture is called Pycnosaurus. It's like the billy buttons, I guess.
Yeah.
It was a locally endangered plant in Adelaide, and just where you've got your mouse, that's another endangered plant in Adelaide. So we tried to fill it up with lots of endangered plants. If you go to the next one down, that was one that Kate did at Commonwealth Golf Club. So this is full of lots of bulbs and flowering spring plants. So you can imagine at, you know, certain times of the year that'd just be full of lots of different insects. So, you know, having a variety of insects is really important.
Like that's, I mean, we can't see much of the grass, but you can imagine that beautiful green grass there.
Yeah.
Look at that, like all those yellow flowers.
That's right, exactly.
Now, I don't want to get my ball lost in there, and I will guarantee you that I will, because I can't hit straight. But, you know.
It actually is not, it's actually a bit sparse. So that's a shot from down. But if you can actually walk through that and see the areas quite easily, it does look more dense than it is. And that's I said Commonwealth. Yeah, I think
It's
that's sorry. I put the
Peninsula.
wrong. Yeah, I think I put the wrong logo there. I think that's Commonwealth Golf Club.
We'll never forgive you.
That's right.
Terrible.
Because the next
I wasn't
one
going to know anyway. I couldn't call you out on it.
yeah. Sorry, it's Commonwealth Golf Club, and the next one is from Peninsula Kingswood. So people give the other thing that golf courses get a lot of is that it's private land and I can't walk through it with my dog, and it's not fair that we can't access it. But being private land means that golf courses can protect rare and endangered plants, and these orchids from Peninsula Kingswood are growing there naturally. if that was in a reserve, you'd have dogs trampling it, you'd have people trampling it, kids' bowls, like it would just be, huge foot traffic on every inch. But at golf clubs, you can cut off certain areas and have them as hazards or no play zones, so people aren't allowed to go in there, or they can just go in and get their bowl. But then you don't have carts going through, you don't have people walking over that area constantly. So it's a very weird thing for people to think about, but the status of private land is what protects some of the plants. You look at Grange Golf Club here in Adelaide, it has the last remaining population of sandhill green orchids on the Adelaide Plains. If it wasn't for the golf club, that orchid would be extinct. So it's such a weird thing to think about, but the very nature of the golf club has protected that. And in Adelaide, a lot of the last remaining Indigenous species can be found on golf clubs.
Sure, I'm thinking of we had a bee scientist on a few months ago.
Oh yeah, Kit.
And Kit, and this is the kind of stuff that it's like this is what gets me excited. If you could get the golfing lawn lovers of the world and the native bee species lovers and the endangered orchid lovers, and if they all came on the same team, it's we need to get it. Yes,
it's
like
happening.
If this, I just want to say if this podcast plays any role in that, I want my Nobel Peace Prize in the mail, right? Come on, to join the rivaling factions like this. I mean, that whatever's gone on in the Middle East, that war, whatever's going on in Ukraine, doesn't matter. All right, this is the real where the peace has to be.
Right. So one of the projects that we're working on in Adelaide with a few golf clubs is creating habitat for an extinct butterfly. It's still got a while.
That's down here somewhere, isn't it?
Oh, sorry, it probably is. Yes.
Oh no,
it's all right. No, that's fine. That one, yeah. One, yeah. So that's the yellowish sedge skipper that was last seen in Adelaide in I think 1985.
Hold on a second. Yellowish sedge skipper.
Sort of.
Who
yellow,
named that?
I don't know.
It's sort of yellow.
Sort of yellow, but not really.
Someone was drunk. The scientist who was naming that was not. That's not a serious name, is it?
It is the name.
Yellowish sedge skipper.
Yellowish.
Why just call yellow? I don't know. That's a great name.
Yellow. Yeah.
That's someone who was not very serious with their job. We'll call it that.
It became extinct about in the 1980s. Sorry, last seen in 1985, and for the last 20 years, Green Adelaide has been working to rewild it. So taking caterpillars from healthier populations around Australia and trying to reintroduce it to Adelaide. So
they thought it was extinct.
Oh, it is extinct in Adelaide. Yeah.
Oh,
but
okay.
if you go outside of Adelaide, it still exists. So it likes to it uses a plant called Garnia phyllum, which is a chaffy sausage, and a lot of its habitat has just been destroyed. So those wetlands that you talked about that no longer around. So in other areas, like out in the country and remoter areas of South Australia, that habitat still exists. So there's a lot of effort underway to try and reintroduce the habitat and reintroduce the butterfly.
Yeah, because that's one of the things that happens as well is that nurseries are not growing plants because of biodiversity. They're growing plants for generic commercial reasons. Exactly. And unless you're literally going to them saying, I want 400,000 of these, is it really worth their time? Because they can make 400,000 spider plants, and sell them. But you go.
Oh, there's a campaign underway at the moment from campaign underway to stop Bunnings selling weeds because they're selling plants that are becoming weedy or that are weeds like gazanias and whatever, and people just go and buy that, and so more weeds are being introduced to the environment, and lots of conservation people spend time removing weeds. It's just like why don't we have more pride in our native plants, and why aren't we selling more of our native plants? It's quite frustrating at times.
Well, then you've got the I guess a weed is just a plant that's not really wanted,
that's
isn't
right.
it?
That's the dirt.
There's these trends, and the greatest trend of all time was clearly the yucca trend, and no one's ever regretted planting one of those before.
Or having to remove it.
Exactly. I mean, half of the contractors who listen to this podcast, their entire profit margin is in removing yuccas. But it is an interesting question because we talk about this quite a bit. Australia is so big, you throw the word native on a plant and it's meaningless. Because if it's native to northern, Queensland, it's useless in Tasmania. And actually what happens is a lot of West Australian plants tend to get planted the rest of the country because it's like, you survived in Western Australia. Aunt Margaret's terrible plant health routine will be sufficient for you,
That's right.
And so people have this, they buy these plants, but it's like, okay, you go to a commercial nursery that's supplying all the other nurseries and they have thousands of options, but there's millions and millions and millions of other options that they're not doing.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know where that's going to change, but
Well, I did want to point back to something because I joked before, like, well, it was serious that if you had a wildlife rehab centre with that sort of stats, people would be like, great, well done, Australian of the Year almost, but it's a golf course, doesn't think that way. You said something before, and I wanted to cut you off, but you were talking about really interesting stuff where you were saying that your friends were like, don't go to a golf course, it'll be career suicide. And I was kind of thinking, like, isn't that like a doctor telling another doctor, don't go to those people over there with, I don't know, infections, like isn't that what a biodiversity person's supposed to do? Go to the commercial or the non-interested areas, the people who haven't thought about it, and convert them?
Well, I think it's because a lot of people who work in conservation don't believe that there's any reason to have conservation or biodiversity programs at golf clubs because there's nothing to conserve. So part of what Kate and I do is we do a lot of education programs, we speak at conferences, we do podcasts because we're trying to get the word out there that golf can actually be good for nature. Golf and other green spaces are good for nature. So people were just saying, don't go to a golf club because what are you even going to do? You're just going to be wasted there. Like, they're not even going to give you proper stuff to do. It's just like, what do you call it, just a tokenism kind of thing to say biodiversity manager. But now some of those people are like, oh, how can I get a job there? Like, you just rave on about it. Like, I'd love to do that. Like, I'd love to have a job like that.
Well, you can start by shutting up and stopping.
That's right, leaving me alone. No,
stopping I judging my dreams and all the work I'm doing.
Well, but I was similar. Like, so I was out of a job. I was working in. So I come from I was working in kitchen gardening at the time, doing kitchen garden education with kids, and I was in between jobs. Tim Warren from Glenelg Golf Club, who I'd worked with. I'm a garden designer, so I'd worked with on some garden design projects. He rang me and said, oh, would you like a job at the golf club? I'm the superintendent at Glenelg now. And I just thought, why would I even do that? That's just the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. And he said, no, like, it'd be really good. Like, you'll come here and like, there's so much you can do. And I just thought, yeah, I don't get it, but I don't have a job. And he said, well, you don't have a job, so give it a month, see what happens. And yeah, I just love it. And I would not want to do anything else. Yeah.
And since
it's
then,
great.
You've saved yellowish sedge skipper, brownish, whatever, reddish, greeny, bluey, other. This okay, so I still just want to just repeat this idea that the idea of people being like biodiversity interested anyone should not work with corporate or whatever. It's like saying, the personal trainer shouldn't work with fat people. It's like, that's literally what you exist for. Only work with the people who are almost fit and they just need a little bit of help. That's
right.
I can't wrap my head around that. Like, and if it's I like the idea of just give it a try. You go.
Well, yeah, that's right. But it's like you said before about people say lots of chemicals are sprayed on the golf course, but chemical spraying is very targeted now. Chemicals are expensive, fertilizer's expensive. And they even have those GPS sprayers. I don't know whether you've heard of these John Deere boom sprayers that have GPS connected. So the boom spray has big arms that come out of the sprayer, and they have little spray nodules across the boom. And when you put in the GPS coordinates, any of the sprayers that are over the edge will not turn on. So that means that you can get the chemical or fertilizer or whatever, because it's not always chemical and fertilizer. Sometimes it could be pigment, sometimes it could just be water penetrant or iron. It will only spray within the boundary that you've set. So that is a bit of a game changer in terms of being more targeted. But when we had this guy doing the insect survey, 6 months, he thought, I'm just going to find like 10 things. Like, this is just going to be a complete waste of my time. And he couldn't believe it. When he found 344 insects, he was just beside himself. Like, and that's 344 species. So there were multiples of certain species. So we had all sorts of wasps and flies. We had 7. There were 9 dragonflies found across 6 sites in this survey, and 7 of those dragonflies and damselflies were found at Glenelg. So it was just phenomenal, and he was blown away. He just couldn't believe the diversity. Yeah.
Do you watch Clarkson's Farm?
No, I don't. No.
You haven't?
No.
Well, you need to make better life choices.
Yeah.
It's the best TV series ever been invented, all right? So basically, Clarkson's an idiot, and he doesn't know what he's doing with his farming, and he's got some other people who are farmers, and he's the comedic relief a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And they just point out how tough farming is. And farmers are sort of the same, where people you're just spraying chemicals all the time. He does a really good job of pointing out the natural incentive there is for these places to not apply chemicals because they don't want to spend money, right?
Yes.
And the cost over these areas is huge amounts of money, you know?
Yeah.
And every time I've ever talked to a golf course superintendent and the subject of any sort of product has come up is they do not want to apply product. They would, it's labour intensive.
Exactly.
Two, it's expensive. Yeah. And the last one we did with the superintendent, Nathan, he's talking about cutting his grass, measuring the cuttings, so collecting the cuttings, measuring the cuttings so that he can scientifically apply only what is absolutely needed to his grass. And they do not want it to grow too much because then they're cutting too much off. And tomorrow on the podcast, I've got a business owner, a guy who owns Colin Campbell Chemicals, which Nadeem. Yes. Yep. So Nadeem's coming on. He's been on several times. And last time he was on, we were talking about drones and how drones, and it's like everybody wants to spend money on these drones with the GPS stuff, just like what you talked about, so that they can only apply as little as possible. Yeah. And it's this mismatch between, just like, Clarkson's Farm is showing people that farmers actually don't want to apply products. Neither do golf course people. And I don't know I do not personally, and I don't think I've ever met any golf course superintendent who is just okay with haphazardly spraying, because to spray an entire golf course is thousands of dollars of product. So they are really careful about it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, someone was telling me I won't name the golf club, but he was experimenting, that one of the supers was experimenting using different products, because that's one thing. He's been using wood vinegar.
Really?
Yeah, and obviously quite cheap.
On his chips? Like,
yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, so that's crazy. He reckons the places never look so good. So, people are experimenting a lot with different things. I know, some experimenting with more organic type things. It's just, like you said, anything you can do to not spray or try something else. It's all, cost comes into it.
I think the homeowners are different. Homeowner lawn lovers like just throwing product out because it's $6 every time they apply. And that's probably, they're creating thatch monsters and, a lot of extra mowing and everything. And they're kind of exploring. And so I think some people then just translate that and go, well, that must mean that golf courses are doing the same. And they certainly are not. They are certainly not doing that.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's not always chemical. Like, it could be iron, it could be I completely lost my track of thought.
Magnesium or wetting agents.
Water penetrants like there's all sorts of things. So whenever people see spraying on golf course, they immediately think it's chemicals, but there's so many other things it could be. It could even be wood vinegar. Who knows?
Yeah. I where this is going, like we're going to be filming some videos with robot mowers and stuff soon, hopefully.
Oh, yes. Yep.
And I'm really keen for that because I believe, there's certain areas, like on a golf course, for example, that, the green, maybe you want to have that cut by people all the time. But, even just mowing regularly in those areas more frequently than they have before will stop some weeds.
Yeah.
And there's just, and I tell you what, like if every superintendent in the world was given an option, like spray more or have a robot mow more, like I think it'd be 90-something% would be like, let's go robot mowing more,
Yeah, that's right.
Again, it's just a mismatch.
Yeah, well, and I think, a lot of them are looking at integrated pest management as well. Like if you look at, I know at Glenelg, we've got a video that was like 7,500 views or something on Instagram of an owl that was eating a worm. But then you're like, well, owls also eat mice and rats, so then you don't need to put out baits for the mice and rats. Or, sometimes you get magpies digging stuff up. So once you start creating that more biodiverse course, you have, it's like the old woman who ate a fly in a way, but you do have a lot of, different animals and different things predating on insects, and maybe sometimes your problems might go away before they start causing too much of a problem. That wasn't a good sentence, but
no.
Maybe the insect may be gone before it causes too much of a problem. Yeah.
And
sorry.
I've kept scrolling down.
Yeah, that's fine.
Fish. What the heck are these? Oh, these are fish. They look like slugs.
They're fish. Yeah.
I zoom in, I can see their head. Yep.
Yeah. They're called galaxias. So there was a survey at Glenelg to have a look at the water courses and their suitability for introducing native fish. And we did actually find native fish during that survey. And the one after that is another survey of one of our ponds looking at the water quality, and the inset picture is Valsinaria. It's a water plant that's being introduced to provide habitat for native fish. So some native fish that are rare in Adelaide are going to be introduced to the water courses at Glenelg. And then if they breed, then those offspring will supplement wild populations. So it's pretty exciting to be doing something like that.
Yeah, purple spotted gudgeon.
Yeah, so purple spotted gudgeon were one that we were looking to introduce. That's currently at the City of Marion, Oakland's wetlands. We were told that we could have, we might be able to get some fish from there, but you can't just take a bucket and relocate them. You have to go through. There's a bit of a process. There's lots of permits and stuff like that.
I don't get that. Again, they make it more difficult. Like, I could just chuck some... I think, do you know what they should have done? They should have named it Purplish Spotted Gudgeon.
Yeah, Purplish. Or Spottish.
It's kind of spotty, Spotty-ish. But it is strange, like this this whole idea of,
the permits and
I could throw some goldfish in there and no one would bat an eyelid. And you start actually trying to do something good for the environment. Ooh, what are you doing?
Well, City of Marion said, we've got so many fish, like they're breeding. The purple spotted gudgeon are just going crazy. Like, we'd like to get rid of some of them. And I thought I'd just grab a bucket. Well, I thought the super and I would just go down with a bucket and grab them, but it's not that easy, apparently. You've got to have a permit to extract them, a permit to relocate them, a permit to reintroduce them. So this project's with the Nature Glenelg Trust, which is a charitable trust that protects fish in Adelaide, and they're the ones that have the permit, so everything's going through them.
Do you know what?
Which is good.
I reckon you could just, like, how would they know? I mean, we shouldn't say this publicly, between us, me, you, and everyone listening. Yeah. But how would you know? How would you know that you stole them from a different lake?
I was at those wetlands today, and I thought I should have brought a bucket just
steal them. Yeah, exactly. Just don't incriminate yourself on a part. But how would they know? How would they know? That is true. No, we GPS track every single one of the purple spotted gudgeons, and we know exactly where they were 15 minutes ago.
Well, it's interesting at those wetlands because they found trout in there, rainbow trout. So people have released the trout into the wetlands so they can go fishing.
Yeah, and no one got in trouble for that. That's what I mean.
Because I couldn't. Yeah, that's right. Well, you can't prove it.
It certainly wasn't me. I mean, I can guarantee you that. But So I can put some trout in, and the trouts probably ruin the ecosystem.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, so they had to remove them all by hand.
Yeah.
So what they do is they drop the water level of the wetlands and remove them by hand. They're just that keen to get rid of them. So yeah.
I mean, whoever put them in, I reckon,
Who would
just get them
know?
back with a fishing rod. Give them 2 weeks. They'll sort it out.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. They never went back to fish them out, and there's a sign saying no fishing. So I don't know how that works.
There you go. That's your problem. No one's eating the purplish kind of spotted gudgeon.
Yeah.
The rules of the government are what stopped them from fishing the trout.
That's right. Yeah.
We got
Yeah.
So we've got near my mum's house, which is the house I grew up in. There's this wetland with a lake there, and there was some guy fishing there once. And we're like, "Is there stuff in there?" And he was catching. I reckon he might have been one of these people who's throwing it in. But there's all sorts of things in this little wetland lake, which is I don't know the size of half a soccer field. It's not big.
Yeah.
Maybe even less. And there's stuff in there, so I don't know. Maybe it's more common that we know that people are throwing in
That's right.
breed. Give me more lunch later on,
That's right. So they don't have to travel as far for their recreation. Yeah. That's the iNaturalist that I was talking about before. So you can see these are some of the pictures that I've taken at Glenelg. A couple are for some other people. That wasn't my photo. That was someone else. So my
giant green slant
face.
That was someone's nickname in high school when they were a bit grumpy, wasn't it?
I was doing a presentation once and I chose that one to keep trying to mention and I tripped over it every time. These are my icon in this is the TG or the little yellow flower. So these are the pictures I've taken, and the ones that are different icons are different people that have taken those photos. So these are things that have been found at Glenelg Golf Club. And if you go to the right there, that's the map. So you can pin the exact location of where you've seen that bird or whatever. So if there are researchers trying to find out, how many royal spoonbills are in the area, they can go to iNaturalist, and because it's a research grade finding with that green ribbon, that means they can use it and quote it in their research. So thing about iNaturalist, it's great. I encourage everyone to get involved. You just take a photo of something, load it to the website. It's all free, and then people help you identify. So it's a great way to learn about plants, plant names. It's really good.
It's a lot of these names.
I know.
They're great. I mean, like singing honey eater. What a great name for a bird.
Yeah, and it has a lovely song. Actually, it's quite lovely.
There you go. That's what you want. But I don't know. Like, if do people get the bin chicken out? Because there's the good old ibis.
Yeah, that's right. Well, interestingly, they never used to be in Adelaide, but they are not in the numbers that they are now. But I think because of habitat loss, they're just everywhere now.
All the bins.
Yeah,
that's where their habitat is.
That's right. But it's all about the balance, really, isn't it? Like the balance of nature. And we never used to have flying foxes flying in Adelaide, the bat, but now they're everywhere. They have a big colony at Botanic Gardens, and they've had that for a number of years now because they've lost habitat on the eastern seaboard. They've come to Adelaide, and Adelaide's too hot for them. So the people at Botanic Gardens have had to put in sprayers to keep them cool during summer. So, having balance, having habitat is very important. Yeah,
well, this is where the conversation comes on, because climate's always been changing to a certain degree, and there's always been some sort of, there's a fire or there's a flood or there's whatever that displaces things, and it's very rare that you would have a colony of anything stay completely local. I mean, New South Wales to Adelaide's a fair hike.
Yeah.
But then, this comes back to the native conversation, like it's still Australian. And, creating these, in a way, artificially natural environments that you're doing, where you're a human being is stepping in and creating a habitat for things that used to be there.
Yeah.
That's a pretty, who's against that? Who doesn't like that idea?
And I think people don't realise that's what's happening at golf courses. They just think it's just a lot of water being used on a lot of grass, that they don't realise that there's a lot of habitat restoration going on. There's even someone was telling me about a golf club where they're releasing native fauna, so injured fauna go to a rescue centre, and when they're rehabilitated, they end up back at the golf course. So
What sort of fauna? Like not crocodiles?
Not crocodiles. No, I can't remember what it was. Like
Probably something small.
Some of the fauna are quite territorial, so I think you'd have to be careful of what you reintroduced and where you introduced it. But yeah, it's people just don't realise, like there are snakes and lizards and all sorts at Glenelg and other golf courses. At Grange, I don't know whether you heard at Grange during Live Golf there was a snake spotted, brown snake. So they don't have any habitat anymore. So golf courses are just an incredibly important part of the environment that are very underestimated.
So you also would work with councils and stuff. Then.
Yes.
Is this, like we said, like who wouldn't like this idea? But then, I tell you who doesn't like the idea: accountants.
Yeah.
And the bean pushers.
That's right.
And people who actually have to spend the money because obviously all this isn't free. So the conversation around it would be, well, you tell me, is it an easy sell for these people? Is it that the community is coming around to this and they go, no, we understand it's expensive? Or do you still get a lot of people who are hesitant, old school maybe? You tell me.
Yeah, well, I used to do work with my local council and trying to introduce, well, we did a garden at the Civic Centre where it was entirely Indigenous or local plants, and that was not very well received by a lot of people. And I think that was, going back 10, 15 years ago. The garden did win an award in the Sustainable Landscapes, South Australian Sustainable Landscapes Public Gardens category, and you'd think, well, it's a gold medal, like it must be great, but people were still very anti that garden, and unfortunately it wasn't maintained, which probably added fuel to their fire, which is one thing. And I think that's the great thing about working in the golf. Like it is difficult. It's a difficult sell to the members sometimes, and difficult sell to members. But I know at Glenelg that it sort of turned around in the 6.5 years I was there. That people managed to sort of see the benefit of it. Because golfers are there every day. They see the changes on the course, and sometimes they don't like it. Change is hard, but it's hard for everybody. But I think when they sort of see more colour, see more birds, I think they kind of get it then. But sometimes with the local council, with the local parks, it can be hard because people just want it to look pretty. They just want flowers. They don't want, they just want the plants that they see in their garden or that they see at Bunnings. They don't really have that love for their native plants. There are some people that do, some people that don't. There was a garden that I did and someone ended up planting gazanias in it because they didn't like it. So, in gazanias, because it's near the beach, gazanias are a weed, so then this creates a weed problem in the garden, and yeah, it is hard. And Tim Flannery, the scientist, Tim Flannery, he once had, this is a great quote, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, if we don't find beauty in our native plants, we'll never be a sustainable Australia. And it's such a good point because like we were talking before, people go to Bunnings and just buy these plants that probably need much more water than if they use something native, and think, oh well, they're pretty flowers, and then buy them different flowers the next 6 months. But why don't you try and plant some native plants? And I don't know what Kit probably mentioned about how our native bees and some other pollinators have evolved with our local plants, and so the pollinators need the plants need the pollinators. So yeah, it's sort of a no-brainer for me, but I've been on the hard sell for quite some time trying to convince people that this is what we need to do.
No, I'm totally with that philosophy, and that's why my goal is to I've had people on the podcast because it's called the Australian Lawn and Garden Podcast, and they're like, well, you've got lawn in the name, and I'm not I don't mind if people disagree with me, like it doesn't bother me at all. Like that's actually what makes this is what makes podcasts good is when you have a conversation, and I do not expect that after this is roughly 180 episodes in or something like that, right?
Yeah, right.
170, 180. Like I'm gonna disagree with people on all sorts of stuff after that many episodes. So that's just how it is.
That's fine. But that's life.
But the goal is if you can get people from a different persuasion to like I said, not fight, I guess, and go, okay, well, if the lawn lovers, like if you took like we're trying to do with this private school, you took every oval and just go, what's actually the space you use?
Yes, that's right.
And let's say we could magically click our fingers and have 50-year-old trees around the edge of it.
That's right.
Would you take that deal? It's
Yeah.
like, yes, we would.
Yeah.
Well, then let's start planting
do
some
it.
trees
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Because it's, I'll be 81 by then.
Well, that quote, the best time to plant a tree, was it yesterday?
50 years ago.
Yeah.
Second best time is today.
Yeah. So just do it
no,
and be done. Well, when I'm actually a bit of an example of an anti-lawn person, because when we moved into our house, it was wall-to-wall lawn, and I wanted to remove the whole lot and just make it native garden with some vegetables. And my partner said, "Oh no, we do need some lawn." So we had a bit of I would say some heated discussions for some time.
the
about
divorce
it.
lawyer was called.
Yeah. And so for his birthday, because I'm a garden designer, I drew a garden design that did include some lawn. So we do have lawn. And then we had a big party in our house with like 80 people, and the lawn was a great place for people to put on picnic blankets. Kids were playing on there. We had bocce on there. We had all sorts of things. So it's an active play space, and it was perfect. So I kind of had to eat my words. But no one really just has lawn on its own, It's an opportunity to have a lawn and garden, have garden area, have vegetables. But, lawn's a great place for birds to hang out, birds to display, birds to dig through the lawn. And then you also have plants where they can get some nectar or whatever, you can have both. You don't have to be like...
Well, I'm not bothered at all by somebody who's like, I don't like lawn, and I've ripped out all my lawn and I've put natives in.
Yeah, good on you.
Right.
That's
exactly.
fantastic, and people should be doing that. But, lawn's just as good.
Well, if you're not going to use it...
Yeah, have some lawn.
What?
Yeah.
And the edible stuff too. You said you're working with kitchen gardens.
That's right.
Before.
Yeah.
Like I'm a big fan of that. Like we're in a very busy stage of our life.
Yeah.
We're releasing we've got an app that's coming out. We've got obviously the podcast, all this sort of stuff. My wife is 8 months pregnant.
Yeah.
By the time this comes out, she's probably had the baby.
Yeah.
But we're like, seriously, like when this calms down, I want to start growing some more food because I used to do that.
Yeah.
And the one basil plant that I have right now, is not quite up to scratch with what I really want further. But like it's what I find is like lawn is actually more of a gateway drug into these other things than people realize.
It's true. Yeah.
The homeowners who, they start being sort of house proud, and they go, well, I've got this dead lawn. I just bought this house.
Yeah.
The lawn's dead. How do I improve it? And then they improve it, and then it's just like green and then grey colorbond fence.
Yeah.
And they go, that's not that good. So what should I do? And they start looking down, and they go, let's get, jasmine and put it on the fence. And then they go, oh, that smells good.
Yeah.
And then they start going.
Exactly. Yeah. And I must say, like, growing your own food is such a great thing to do because you know where it's been. You know what's been put on it. It has a high nutritional value as well. So if you look at some of the things you get from, I won't mention, but some of the shops, they've been sitting there for who knows how long or in cold storage. So I heard one of those big supermarkets, someone who used to work there told me that apples are in cold storage for up to 18 months. No wonder they taste terrible. Yeah. So, and the other thing is, if you're growing herbs, even if you're growing basil, that's less plastics that you need to have in your house. Something fresh. You only need to use as much as you need. Like you just grab what you need at the time you need it. It's fantastic, and like that ends up being. I've got friends who've gone a bit crazy. They've started off with a small veggie patch, and then it's just got out of control.
They're feeding the entire village with zucchini.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's the thing as well.
3 plants.
But you can have like there's local. I know in our area there's like a local food swap. So say you have like 15 zucchinis, you can go and swap some for some tomatoes or something. So yeah. There's a lot more people growing food these days, so you'll get there.
And so there should be.
Yeah.
My dog, the problem is one of my favourite things to grow, as with everybody else, is tomatoes.
Yeah.
because they're so easy
Yeah.
and they're just good. Problem is my dog worked out that she also likes tomatoes. And so as soon as they start going red, then the dog eats them. And
that's right.
she's a Kelpie
Yeah.
and she's not dumb.
Yeah.
Like you can do whatever.
She'll
You do
find
whatever
a
you
way.
want. She'll
Yeah.
eventually find a way to eat them.
That's right.
And she won't eat them all.
Yeah.
But there will be, and there has been tomato crops growing out
around
of
the
random
garden.
areas, because that's where someone's
Gone there and
done
done
a
the
number
business.
2, and exactly, and that's
funny.
perfectly fertilized. And that's how it evolved. That's how they started out doing this thing.
Well, I must say, tomatoes for me are one of my favourite things to grow because homegrown. There's nothing like a homegrown tomato, like, particularly when you get those really big Italian ones or the Yugoslavian type Ormovic varieties. Like, oh, they're so good. So good.
Do you know what? When I get land one day, I want a grape tunnel. I'm sure
they look
you've
amazing.
seen these.
Yeah.
Literally just Rio Bar.
Yeah.
Just a nice big sheet, and you arch it over and have some supports, and then you grow your grapes. And look, maybe you want some thick stuff because it'll last. And the grapes literally hang through this tunnel.
It's incredible. Well, when you were talking about not using air conditioning before, that could be grapevines on the hottest part of your house. It's a great way because then you get the warmth during winter and the shade during summer. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of deciduous trees like that.
Yeah.
There's certain varieties that there's a few that I want that are deciduous, and if I'm going to put them somewhere, you'd put them on the north facing side of the house, so that winter all the sun's coming down there.
Yeah.
We used to have a Cassia fistula, which is a golden shower tree. For people who get your mind out of the gutter.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Get your mind out of the gutter. It's honestly, that might be my favourite tree. It's up there.
Right.
It's up there with like jacarandas or whatever. I mean, they're cliche, but we had one of those at the previous house, and it was north facing, and it made a genuine difference.
Yeah, right.
Like if you walk down the back veranda, it's much cooler under the bit that was shaded by that. And unfortunately, it was too close to the house. We didn't get to truly enjoy the beautiful yellow flowers until they'd fallen down on the floor. But there's certain trees like that. Anyway.
Yeah, well, when you were talking about house design, it reminded me of when I was in when we were in Spain, in southern Spain, and they have apartments that are sort of designed in the Moorish style, and so there'd just be a big door. You go through this big door into a courtyard, a tiled courtyard that had a fountain and plants growing in it. And then all the apartments faced inward to that cooling courtyard. And then some of them have a chimney to get rid of the hot air. And as soon as you walk through that door, immediately the temperature goes down. It's not air conditioning. It's plants. It's water. It's tiles. And that's hundreds of years ago that they came up with these designs. And now we've gone for concrete boxes. But anyway...
Well, even so, there's a thing to this where, so this big concrete box that I'm in, I'm very close to the coast.
Yeah,
right? We are maybe a kilometre away as the crow flies, and it's often windy here, in where I am, and especially at night, really strong winds. Blew my fence down earlier this year. So the thing is, though, that we are so close to the coast that there will be days, and there has been many days before, where I'm in here and just tall ceiling, lots of shade. It's 38 degrees. I've got no aircon. I'm not hot. I'm like it's warm. I'm not like
boiling.
I walk 7 meters that way out of the warehouse. I'm like, gee, it's hot. You know? But it's something about the way. And it's the same with the trees. One of the schools we look after, big trees all along, weeping peppermints and eucalyptus and everything. And you mow on the middle, the closer you get to the middle, you're starting to get baked. You mow under the trees, best job. Best job mowing under the tree on that day.
Exactly.
Fix and retick and mowing under those trees is the best job on a hot day. And
that's right.
and that's the whole thing. Like people don't realise there's something about even I just have in the shade, even though my roller doors, like there's no aircon here.
Yeah.
It's underrated.
Yeah. And like you were saying with before, with the grey roofs or the black roofs that people have, black painting on their, like, black coloured walls or whatever on the outside of their house, they're just creating a big hot box, and it's just going to get worse.
If I was to grow, say, like Hardenbergia or
Yeah.
something, over my house and
Yeah.
have a purple roof,
Yeah,
it
that'd
would
be pretty
look
amazing.
like I was very disorganised and I did not know how to maintain anything.
True.
But I wonder what that would do to the
Yeah.
temperature of the house.
Yeah, it would bring it down.
I know what it would do to my gutters.
Yeah, I was going to say,
they
I
wouldn't
feel
be
like your gutters
functioning
all the
anymore.
time, but yeah.
I'd get rid of the gutters.
But even if, but you look at these green roofs that they have as quite common overseas. They even have them on bus stops. So they just plant the dirt. So there's dirt in there, obviously a fabric or something underneath, waterproof plastic, and plant them with herbs and small plants, and it just cools the air and it offsets the heat from the concrete. Or when you're on a hot day in bus stop, like you go to Dubai and the bus stops are air conditioned because it's so hot there. Like it's just
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then now there's this. Have you seen much of the information about the? I'm only just surface level understanding this about the cloud seeding and things like that they're doing now.
Yeah, I'm probably surface level as well. I don't really know a huge amount, but yeah.
Well, I saw that.
Crazy.
Yeah, it is pretty interesting, and I've been thinking about that now, being like, so my understanding is that people thought that it was possible. Yeah. And they were doing stuff, but they've only recently, last 10 years, really worked out how to do it properly. And that idea is really like, I mean, I would like some artificial created rain in Perth.
Yeah.
If you just get it over the sites that I look after, thank you very much. That would really help with my water allocation problems.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a few things like that. But also, like I've seen that there's certain methods with farming and things like that are specifically keeping weeds.
Yeah.
That creates more rain because there's more greenery. And
right. Yeah.
I don't know. Do you know much about this sort of stuff?
No, I don't. Yeah, no, I don't. Yeah. I've just got my head stuck in my biodiversity work, I think.
Well, do you have we talked about making it how do people respond to this?
Yeah.
Do you have a lot of jobs lined up? Like, are people lining up out the door, or is this still something that you've really got to have a lot of conversations to convince somebody?
There's still a lot of that goes on. I think partly it's because of committees, because committees are the ones that have to do the final approval, and often, they're quite reluctant because they don't really get what it's about. And that, like at Glenelg, I know there was that problem when we were sort of doing naturalised roughs, that there was a lot of blowback from members that they didn't like it. And of course the committee members had to deal with all of that. But it does come down to communication, I guess. And like if you can communicate the idea, if people can understand it more, and as more golf clubs do this sort of thing, and it becomes more regular and more accepted, I think it's just going to happen. Yeah, sorry.
People don't realise that there's usually, when you talk about, like, there's a lot of blowback.
Yeah.
When you talk about committees, it's 3 people. Like it's some squeaky wheels.
Yeah.
We've experienced this at different sites we've worked at.
Yeah. But I think it's sometimes like a different demographic as well, that people don't see the value in it, because often on committees you have people of accounting or legal backgrounds who are just thinking of the dollar. So I guess that's why Kate and I sort of try and work out ways that we can explain that they can save money, like that example I mentioned before, that $100,000 a year saved on managed turf by having naturalised roughs. Like, that's huge. Yeah.
Well, I love what you guys are doing.
Yeah,
I think the idea about it is so solid.
Yes.
And I wish that more people. I hope more people start hearing about this concept in the golf course world, and then they maybe starts raising some ideas, and you start getting some traction with it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, like we're doing a lot of work in terms of doing educational stuff and writing magazine articles, but we're doing just trying to get the word out as much as we can, that golf can be good for the environment, can be good for nature, and turf has a place. That we don't want old golf courses to turn into housing estates. Like it's good.
Well, I can just imagine that if you had a golf course that worked with you guys and some aggressively, advocative person comes and starts sort of throwing shade at this golf course, and they can come back and say those stats that you just said before about X number or 300 and something species of insect and the 5 microbats, which I didn't even know what microbats were. I thought that was like what people from cricket sign on the side of the, rather than the big ones they're actually using out in the middle.
Very tiny batsmen.
Yeah, exactly, for children. For my 2-year-old son. No, like that's like it just makes sense to me. So. Yeah, well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity.
Where do people find you?
So we're at torgersongilby.com.au and Torgerson and Gilby on Facebook as well as on Instagram. Give us a follow on our socials or join iNaturalist and have a look at Golf for Nature and just be amazed by the amount of biodiversity at golf courses in Australia, and we're adding to that as much as we can. So, thank you very much.
Well, I'm going to tag you guys in everything that we upload.
Excellent.
And so people just go follow those links. And if you know somebody at a golf course, have this conversation. If you know someone who hates grass and thinks it's horrible, tell them, that you love them too. Tell them tell them cows love grass, and they love cows and animals. So I don't know, like that. How do we get them across? We're trying our best.
Anyone who says that golf clubs are a dead space needs to come and talk to Kate and me, and we can spend the whole day telling you why it isn't that way.
Exactly.
Because we can talk forever. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And everybody else, we will see you in the next podcast.
Great. Thank you.